Good morning. This is Mona, and this is my morning view. Today, spring edition 2025. Blue skies, birds singing, green everywhere. Beautiful spring 2025, May 12th. Today, Memory Monday. I'm trying to sit there and remember something in my head that I could talk about for Memory Monday. And really, when it came down to it, it's like, okay, so when I got sick and my memory was messed up, along with many other things, it became, when I came out of that, even though my memory's not the best and not what it used to be, it's getting better every day. It's getting better. It's way better than it was 10 years ago. So when I started to come out of that, I still have the autoimmune. It still sometimes kicks my butt, but it doesn't do what it was doing to me 10 years ago. 10 years ago, they said I didn't have 6 years. Well, I've gone beyond that, and I'm healthier today than I was 10 years ago. So with that, it became my testimony. My testimony. You don't just have one testimony of what God has done for you. You usually have multiple testimonies of things God has done for you. But some of those testimonies stand out in your memory more than any other thing. Usually your salvation testimony is the one that comes out the strongest in your memory. It's like, I remember where I was and where He brought me out. And this is where I am now. And I wouldn't be where I am now if He had not come to my rescue. Had He not been my kindred redeemer. Had He not drawn me closer to Him. Usually when we have a testimony, it's coming from a place where we need help. But no one's there to help. No one can help. The only one that can help is God. He's the only one that can redeem us from this space that we're at. So when He comes and He draws us to a safe place in Him, and He rescues us from whatever it is that we were facing, and whether that was sin or illness or any other thing that is in your testimony, that's in my testimonies. Those testimonies are like Ebenezers in our lives. They're pillars that we have stacked up to show that this is where God had us. So sometimes in the Old Testament, they talked about setting up an Ebenezer as a testament to the Lord, that He had done this in this space. Kind of like when they crossed the Jordan during high water season. So it was like a flooding season. The Jordan River is not very big. It's not big at all. It's not like when they crossed the Red Sea. Okay, and then it was just this one of those arms of the Red Sea, right? It still got deep. It was still pretty dangerous. But with the Jordan River, they weren't escaping from something, so they were going into something. So sometimes setting up those Ebenezers are not for coming out and being rescued, but sometimes it's just showing what God's done. Showing what God's done. So they took the 12 stones when they crossed the Jordan River during high flood season, and they set up the 12 stones as a monument to the Lord. There's other areas in the Old Testament where Ebenezers were set up. Ebenezers were these stones stacked upon one another to show as a reminder for anybody who comes by, this is what God has done in this space, in this place. So in our memory, it's these testimonies are Ebenezer's in our mind. They're little pillars that have been stacked up, little rocks that have been stacked up as a reminder that says this is what God has done. And the more we talk about our testimony, the more other people will go, oh, now I understand why. Now I can comprehend, at least from your aspect, of why you do what you do. Why you serve this God that I have no Ebenezer's for. But they're like, but I would like to have one. I would like to have this space that says, God did this in my life. He showed up. Now, one of the things that you have to remember is when they crossed the Jordan, they had to show up. Because, remember, they wandered in the desert for 40 years because they didn't want to show up. And so they didn't have a testimony of God's greatness going into the promised land, coming out of Egypt. People were shaking in their boots, waiting for them to arrive because they had heard the testimony of what God had done, taking them out of Egypt. How he had opened the sea and swallowed their enemy. They had this testimony that was incredible. And in archaeological things, there were pillars set up. I don't know when the pillars were set up, but they were set up at that space where they crossed the Red Sea, where archaeologists have said this is where they crossed. There's pillars there. Well, the one on the Jordan side has been removed, or what side is that? Saudi Arabia? On the other side of that part of the Red Sea. So that one has been removed. It's been taken down. It has the stump of it. So it wasn't so much that they built pillars there. Later on, archaeologists have discovered that someone later on went down and set up those pillars. It may have been King David. It may have been Solomon. It may have been later. Don't quote me on it, but there is study of the possibility that that's what one of the kings of Israel had gone down and set up the pillars. They're not quite Ebenezer's, but it was in that same gesture. It was for that same gesture. So what happened is you have testimonies that are your Ebenezer's in life. Turning points. Spots where you said, God showed up here. And I will never forget that. And the times that God showed up and I have Ebenezer's in my life, no one can take that testimony away from you. You know where you were. You know what God did. You know where you are today. Because of what had happened then. The Ebenezer, no one can take that away from you. They may not believe you. They may scoff at it. But they will never be able to take it away because it is your testimony. So today, Memory Monday, remember back to some of those testimonies. Remember back those things that said, this is where I was, this is where I am, and it's because of him. Talk about a strength, a faith builder. A faith builder comes from your own testimony because you know it to be true. You know it's true. And that's why no one can take it away from you. Even if they scoff. Even if they make fun. Even if they don't understand. And if you don't have a testimony, if you don't have an Ebenezer set in your mind that says, God is God because I've encountered him, you might want to sit down and ask God for a space where there's an Ebenezer. You'll recognize it. You'll know it. You'll never forget it. You may not think about it every day of your life, but it'll show up. It'll show up in your journey. It'll go, hey, remember me. Remember this time in your life. Remember this space. You remember when God showed up? You built an Ebenezer right there. Remember that? So for Memory Monday, think back about some of those. Build your faith with your own testimonies. Build your faith with your own testimonies. All right. That's all I have for you today. Blessings, everybody. Let's see who's on. Having a hard time seeing here. Susan, Luann, Bonnie. Happy Mother's Day to any one of you that are mothers or soon-to-be mothers or mothers in waiting or mothers who mother the younger generation in general. Blessings to all of you. Have a great day, and I will see you tomorrow for Tips Tuesday. All right. Bye. Oh, before I forget, I got to do the commercial, the stinking commercial. All right, ready? Go over to YouTube to Mona E. Harrison. You'll see my white hair, my beautiful face. You'll know it's the right place. Subscribe. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. And both here on Facebook and YouTube, like, comment, share anything that you feel is valuable to you or someone else. All right. Blessings, everybody. Have a great day. Now I can go. Bye.